So we at it again. What's going on, good people? All right, so whew, dealing with the route in your life, dealing with some issues, overcoming adversity. It's a choice. You know, some people on the path of greatness. Some people just here. They don't know what their next move is, what's going on in their life. So we're gonna try to figure it out, help each other together. Um, I think I messed up. Let me see. Did I even put the things in the video? General. Okay. Nope. I might have messed up on the information. Make sure I put stuff in the description. Nope, I didn't. So let's see. Here. Alright, there we go. Set. Got all that in there. Boom. Alright. I forgot about putting the videos in the description so you guys can check those out. Alright, so we back. I got about two videos and an article. What's going on, boss lady? Country hustle. Got my little visual back so I'll be able to see people. Got my phone fixed. Now I'm on a mission to get this new phone. This the Fold. Check out some reviews on it. It's gonna be out for about a week. So a lot of people, give you raves and give the do's and the don'ts. So I understand how everything is. But getting into it, NC worker, what's going on in the building with you? I'm gonna have to get back over there to YouTube and give you a wrench, man. So getting into it, I put two videos from YouTube, then I put a article, and it's kind of crazy. Just speaking on this article real quick before I get into it. Time, what's going on? The crazy part was all these major banks are not trying to reimburse people for their Zelle accounts that have been hacked and people have been taking money out of these people's accounts. And I'm like, it's kind of crazy how a lot of these big institutions have the money and they went filed bankruptcy and they, needed help, the bailouts and all that. But now you have all this money and it went to all your big CEOs and this money's supposed to be protected. Even though it's through a third party, it's still supposed to be protected because it's coming out of your account. So even coming through a third party, it's technically still coming out of your account. So that money's supposed to be insured up to what? 250,000. Queen in the building, what's going on with you? But you have the likeness of, these greedy corporations are not trying to give the money back. Same thing like Cash App. Cash App had an issue going with that. So that's why they put in the conform thing to make sure that if this is the person that you're supposed to be sending to, don't send money to people you don't know, and don't just randomly do it for somebody because they want to give you the money. Because this is the thing. Somebody will steal a credit card, send you 10,000, and be like, "Oh, I sent it to you by mistake." Not even 10,000. Let's go as low as $500. Or I sent that 500 to you by mistake. No harm, no foul. You'll send them the 500 back, but that 500 is stolen. So once they know that that 500 is stolen, the first thing that they're gonna do is take that 500 out of your account because you sent it. So that's an issue that you're gonna have to look at and always be accountable for. Watch how people are asking you to send money if you don't know them, or you're trying to buy something from somebody and they say, "Well, I'm gonna send you the money on Cash App," and then they say, "Well, or Zelle, oh, I sent you too much money. Can you send me some back?" Watch out for those tricks because 10 times out of 10 is always to the point of being a scam. And most of the time they won't catch it right away. The funny part about it is, quick story, I actually got scammed by something like this when I was younger. You know, yeah, you don't get the money back. So what they'll do is they'll tell you to send the money. Like say I send you, so I send you $500, Quina. I send you 500, and I was supposed to send you 500, but I end up sending you 800. And I'm like, oh man, I sent you 800, and I was supposed to only send you five. Can you send three back? And he'd be like, all right, I'll send the three back. So once they send the three back, they're gonna hit you for that 500 they gave you and you kept, and they're gonna hit you that 300 that you sent back. So the 300 you sent back, that's actually coming out of your money, and the 300 they was giving you to buy something is messing up the whole, train too. So that's why I say be weary about people, trying to send money. If you don't know them, even if you're trying to buy something, you know, if they're telling you, say, ask them what's their name, because most of the time these credit cards, when you send some on Zelle, if you have a business name, it's going to show up as a business name. But if you have a personal, it's going to show up personal. What's going on, cooking, praying and cooking? What's going on, couple? I messed that all up. Praying couple cooking, see what's going on, what's going on with both of y'all in the building. But yeah, it's an issue that a lot of people are having. Oh yeah, I forgot to keep YouTubing. Y'all hit the like button. Appreciate you for coming in. But that's one of the biggest things that's going around. That's a big scam that a lot of people are, not really necessarily looking out for, and they got to pay attention to that, because that is one of the things that everybody, when they missing out on these new scams as they come in, because they do it with Cash App, they do it with this, with Zelly, all types of ways. I was telling my friend his wife was selling something online, and the person was so adamant about buying it, and the first thing that they said was, "I need your email and I need your phone number." And I'm like, they're buying a sofa from you, but they need your email and phone number. And because she's an older woman, it's like, well, this old lady don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna scam her. So that's the thing. Yeah, if you don't send it back, you're good. You know, if you don't send it back, you good. Because the worst that because if somebody sent you all that money, 10 times out of 10, they're gonna come back, and the bank is gonna come back and get it. Because, like I said, it was a situation that happened with me when I was younger. Somebody sent me some for a sweepstakes. I kind of figured it was fake, and I was like, man, let me go ahead and just keep the money. So the guy had me go through all the prompts. I told him I'm at the place now, and I was giving him this 4 digit. I mean, it was a 10 digit number for the transfer and everything. So it was like a lottery scam, something like that. They were saying basically, I was in a lottery pool and I won this during the sweepstakes. When I filled out for something, I fill out for a lot of cars and stuff in the malls and stuff like that. So I just assumed that it was that, and end up sending me a $5,000 check. I deposited the check into my account, and they told me to send the money back to them for my taxes. They were paying for my taxes, but I had to send that money back. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. I get to the place and I was like, man, something just don't seem right about this. I was like, why are you paying me money for taxes when you just take it out the money when you give it to me? So something just kept sticking in my head. Don't seem right. Don't seem right. Don't seem right. I was like, all right. So I tricked the guy, told the guy I sent the money, didn't send the money, because at that time I was actually buying my wife's wedding ring. So I was like, man, this 5,000 would be good with the other five I got in there, and I could just buy her a wedding ring for about $10,000. Oh man, that's even better. So you know, going and getting the check faked like I sent it to him. I gave him a 10 digit number, and then I hung up. The moment I hung up from giving him that 10 digit, I'm tongue tied this morning, 10 digit number, he never answered the phone again. And I'm like, calling, no answer. So I said, oh, well, at least I kept the money. Lo and behold, it was like a week or something later. I was actually in the process of throwing the letter away that they gave me because I was out of town. I was like, I don't need this letter no more. I was like, they were scamming, so I got them. I got their money. So I threw the letter in the trash. Ended up finna go buy me something to eat. I was out of town, and my debit card was locked. I was like, hold on. So they were telling me I had to contact, the bank I had on at the time. So I'm like, man, what's going on? So basically, fooled around, got my got my credit card, called the bank. Bank was telling me, your account is locked up due to fraud. I was like, due to fraud? What fraud? What are you guys talking about? It was like basically you end up trying to deposit a fake check. So for that, we're gonna have to um lock your account up, and you have to pay us this money back. I'm like, what in the world? What's going on, Bunny Rose? So end up going down there, getting the letter out of the trash can in my truck that I had when I was out of town, and they were basically saying how, if I couldn't prove it, then I would have been on the hook for all this, and I would have been charged with fraud, and it had been facing some type of jail time or something, some type of fines according to it. So I'm like, oh man, this is one thing within itself. So when it came down to it, I actually had the paperwork and went on ahead, sent it to them, and then at the end of the day, like I said, they were basically talking to me, asking me about it. How did I get the letter? Why didn't I send the money? And like I told her, I said, some just seemed fake, so that's why I didn't send it. I kept the money in my account. And they was like, well, it was good that you didn't spend the money because now we'll just take the money out of your account and then unlock your account and leave it back even. So I was good. Luckily, I didn't spend the money because I seen situations where people were spending the money, and so they was in a negative. They had to pay that $5,000 back to the bank, and they were screwed. So in the end, it was literally crazy how you know just sending that little money right there costs just such a headache to a lot of people that did it. Plus, like I said, I didn't send it, so it didn't hurt me much. I was good. But I mean, it was like literally crazy going through that process. Yep. That had a little connection issue, but basically, like I was saying, it was just crazy how a lot of people were, sending that money off to them. And that's why I say from now on, for the most part, start looking at your account, start looking at, who you're sending money to and make sure you sending money because like these scammers, they getting more and more, creative right now. And when it come down to it, phew, I mean, it's like a new scam is like born every day. So if you don't really pay attention to actually understand, you're gonna be sending money to people making hell of money off you. But getting into this, I have two videos actually, and the two videos are from the two people I talk about, Ramiz and the Wealth Twins. Well, and for one, the Wealth Twins are actually in the video talking about your worth, understanding what you're dealing with, and it goes along into the title and the thumbnail about the route that you're taking. When it comes down to it, a lot of people, just don't really have a plan. And the old saying is, if you don't plan, you plan to fail. So a lot of times, people are just en route in life, just moving along. You know, having situations happen, things going on around them, and not really a big understanding of what's going to be their next path, what's going to be the way that they're going to do things. So, and ultimately, as they say, you behind the eight ball. When it comes down to it, having an understanding of, like, far as I keep talking about with your money, you'll understand what you're putting your money into. You understand how you got your money being spent and how good is it for you. What's going on, Bronze in the building? But like I was going into it, a lot of times I always talking about budgets. I'm always talking about the way to handle things, way to keep things going, way to keep things flowing. A lot of people, you know, look at budgets and to a degree just don't even start them. And going into that second video, the guy Rameith, he was saying how he don't like budgets because people feel guilty about how much money they're spending, how they're looking at the budget and saying every time, man, I'm spending so much money, I'm not sticking to budget, not sticking to it. He has a conscious spending plan where he talks about his guilt-free spending and everything. To me, it's similar, just like a budget, but the thing of it is having an understanding about your money. And it boils down to the same thing. Like, which route are you going to take in life to obtain wealth, or, just live comfortably, or just always struggle and be in debt? And that's the number one thing that I try to keep promoting. I always talk about these main two things. You know, wellness with yourself, self awareness, figuring out things, mental health. You need that in your life. And also budgeting. When you start with a budget, that's when you promote the plan to actually, you know, invest in a 401k, buying life insurance that can help you long term for you and for the kids, or just anybody in your family. Those two things, they go hand in hand, because when you feel good, you start thinking more about your life, and then you want to save money. You want to, buy more things that you can afford and live comfortably. I've yet to see somebody just, so-called want to be so miserable with a lot of money, unless something's behind that, certain intentions are, but you can't really spend the money. You know, there's situations where people have so much money and they're saving for a goal, but feel so miserable about saving for that goal. But once they hit that goal and get to spend that money, they feel good about it. That's why I say you got to pick that route in your life and figure out what's best for you. When you start saving money, save with an intent. You know, make sure, I wouldn't advise nobody to be saving like $10,000 or something like that in a savings account. I mean, I've heard where it worked out for most people, but other than that, why not put that in something that can be gaining more interest? You know, they have CDs out here. CDs have been out long time. Bonds carry more years than a CD. CDs, they got it down right now. You can do a CD in like 5 to 7 months at a 5%. Who's giving you that money that quickly? Investing that money and getting 5%. Your bank savings only give you less than a dollar, like 7%. I'm sorry, not 7%. 0.07%. Point zero. Like, you literally can take $10,000, put it into the bank, put it in your savings. The next person behind you in line can come up, ask for $10,000, and they'll give them that $10,000. You turn around, come back to the bank, say, okay, I want my money back plus interest for last month. They might give you that 10,000 plus $70. Turn around, the person that borrowed that money, they'll give them 10,000. I mean, they'll get that 10,000 back from the bank that they took from the bank. The bank have to give, that person will have to give them $10,000 plus probably 1,500 or $3,000 on the side amongst the money that they borrow. and that's at a rate of over 10%, or sometimes depending on your credit will be a little higher or even lower at 750 on top of that 10,000 that you already borrowed from the bank. It all depends on how your credit is, but the bank literally makes more money off your money while it's sitting in there, but they give you less. So why not take your money, put it in a CD for 5 or some months? The worst thing you do, if you put it in a CD and you need the money, just go back and take the money out. You don't get the interest. You know, bonds take a long time to mature. Investing, a lot of people stepped away from bonds. You hear they rarely talk about bonds now because bonds are not the hot commodity as they used to be back in the day. Same with dealing with a lot of stuff. A lot of people are, going into Roths, IRAs, and stepping away from 401ks. 401ks was actually made for a lot of people. I forgot the guy's name is Ted something, but he actually designed 401ks so the common people can start back investing in the stock market. Before the wars, I think it was World War II and all that, people were investing heavily in the stock market. That's where a lot of people get money. Because if you look at society today, even though we hear about these gender talks about men and women and stuff, it's pretty much impossible for a man to pay all the bills if he doesn't make a large, substantial amount of money and he's in a career field that is guaranteeing him this money. Because as it stands right now, a lot of people are in careers right now that are good, but at the same time, they're replaceable. You know, so when it comes down to it, it takes two. I've actually talked to someone who lived in another country, and they came over, and they were saying that it takes two in America to live. And in my country, where they were from, they were saying, well, if a man with a good job, he could pay all the bills and just keep his woman at home with the kids and be a housewife. But they were like, coming into America, you really do need two people to benefit in the household. For the ones that are doing it by themselves, whether it be a man or whether it be a woman, and having kids, that's a lot of pressure and stuff. Not saying that you need to get married, but at the same time, two is better than one. It always helps. So going into, budgeting and stuff like that, which would you rather have? One paycheck trying to make things work, or two actually getting it done? Because like I say, back in the day, it was easier for a man to pay all the bills because he had the opportunity of working two jobs. Nowadays, you have the women in the work field. So now, not only is the man competing for a job, he's competing with the women for those positions as well. So, like when I talk to people about this economy right now, and they're saying that a man should pay all the bills, well, everything is going up. The percentage on buying a house, I think they averaged it out to 170%, almost 400%. And if you're looking at 400%, like what's that? I thought, the scale went up to 100. They're talking about the percentage going over the mark. On average, a house maybe in the 50s, 60s, even in the 70s. No more than about anywhere from $45,000 to $85,000. Now you're looking at average homes I'm talking about just average homes at least 280. Average homes at the low point is 280. If you get anything under 200,000, you're buying a fixer upper. And whether it be man, woman, anybody, you're buying anything under that, you're buying a fixer upper. And I'm talking about doing drywall, hoping that your plumbing is right, electricity is right, because that costs a lot of money. Painting and making sure that they didn't damage anything that you can't see externally. Internally. You can't see anything externally. You can see holes in the wall. You can see, the sink or the cabinet need to be repaired. But internally, you don't know if they burnt wires or anything from tripping something. You don't know if they poured cement in a drain. So that's a lot to fix up a house. And especially, the first, this is going to be your first home. They literally have these programs that you can get into your first home, but you got to qualify, and a lot of people just don't know. Some programs you can qualify to get a home for 500, 580 credit score. Believe it or not, they have areas in Atlanta. They just built, what is it? Three small communities down past the airport or Hartsfield. They literally have three communities, two townhouses, and one of the other community just regular single family homes. You can go in there with a 580 credit score, depending on your down payment, roughly figures according to your credit. But you go in there, pay that down payment, and that's your home. Long as you qualify for the money, if you make enough money to afford a home, you're gonna get that home. That's what a lot of people are trying to figure out. Like, what's the whole deal with the homes? You got to be able to afford it. The biggest thing with the loan officer and a broker, their thing is trying to make sure you can stay in this home for at least 10 years. If you stay in it for at least 10 years, 15 years, they pretty much made their money. But at least 10 years, they made a mark to where even if you don't stay in there longer, you're obviously going to sell, or the worst thing for you, but best for them, is to let it go into foreclosure. They can take the house, sell it on the foreclosure market, and get the rest of their money. But with the intent, you have a home, you want to stay in it. So, like I said, having a budget predicts pretty much the most. You set money aside for rainy days. You set money aside for the roof. A lot of people forget, when you're buying a home, get a warranty plan. They sell warranties for your home. Roof need to be repaired is up under warranty. That little $100 a month or whatever they charge you, it goes a long way. You might have to pay a deductible on certain things, but deductible is a whole lot cheaper than paying for everything out of pocket. You know, and that's why I keep saying that budget do help. It kind of reminds you of things that you got to pay on those weeks. I have my calendar full. My wife always saying, like, in my Google, I have all my bills stretched out in my Google, have my passcodes to them abbreviated, so I'll be the one to know, or my wife, and there it goes. So the worst, if anybody ever gets to my phone and it's unlocked, all they see is a whole bunch of passcodes for things. My bank keep that separate off of there. Only thing I have is the bills, anything I have to pay that's occurring every month that comes out regularly. That's it. Other than that, I don't have nothing that, for the most part, that I'm not trying to keep track of. Everything down to from Netflix, if I have that, all the way up to the light bill, the mortgage every month. We know we pay that between the 1st and the 15th. Try to pay it by the 5th when it comes out, and we do pretty good. But that's the thing. When you're budgeting and you know how much money you make, you can always be on schedule. Let's say if you have it to where you had planned for a trip and you took a little money out of the budget where it wasn't supposed to be. So, if you can pay the rent or your mortgage within a certain time, within 2 weeks, that's good. If I don't pay it this week, I get paid the other week. Great. You know, just budget for it. A lot of people, like I say, that's their issue. When they start spending money, you got to remember about your budget. There's nothing wrong with going out to eat, taking a vacation, but put it in a budget. Make a plan for it. That's the biggest issue, where a lot of people just jump up and want to do things, and then they have to, you know, deal with the sacrifices and the issues later. And then you're always going to be playing catch up. Always going to be playing catch up if you do it that way, because you're going to be in a constant mode of fear, hoping that, you don't lose your home. And like I said, it's easier to stay on task. It's actually harder to catch up. The old saying, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. And what they're saying with that, generally, you're borrowing from this person to give to this person. Then you have to borrow from somebody else to pay this person. When are you going to ever catch up? That's why you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're taking money from someone else, putting it in someone else's hand, and it gets to be a cycle. And how are you going to ever pay everybody back when you're constantly underwater? To be above water, stake out a plan. Cut back on certain eating habits. Not saying go starve yourself, but stick to a budget. You know, couple of trips that you want to take, you might have to cancel those. Couple of times you want to go out to eat, you might have to come home and cook. You know, Same time with budgeting for your car. If you're close to your job versus driving, catch the bus. You know, if your car is paid off, great. If it's not paid off, you're gonna constantly have to make those payments and that insurance. But if your car is paid off, hey, you might can budget for 1 or 2 months not paying car insurance and putting your car at the house. Tell me you want to temporarily pull your car off the insurance. Call the I know they have it to where in Georgia, if you don't have no insurance, you have to contact the DMV and let them know. That's a way of budgeting. Most people are paying $500 a month for car insurance. On average, you might be paying about $200, and that's because most people have newer cars. Like my pickup truck, without the comprehensive coverage and all that, just the regular fault insurance, I think it's like $97 a month. And all I want to do is protect someone else's car with my truck. I mean, because old as my truck is, I don't have it modified and updated. Now, when I start fixing it up or doing something better, I will put full coverage on there just in case. But other than that, my thing is always to protect other people's vehicle, not my own. You know. But all my newer cars have full coverage. If anything, if I want to save some money, I got 3 vehicles. I can take it all the way down to 1 vehicle. My wife, she works from home, so I don't need 3 cars like that. And the only reason I have 3 cars because one of my cars is an SUV, about to put that to work. Pickup truck is already going to work, and I have a small car. You know, if the vehicle's not making you money, why do you have so many cars? At one point, I had 3 trucks in one car. Out of those 3 trucks in one car, 2 trucks was doing the work, so end up getting rid of one of them. That's why I say keep a budget. Always looking over your money. Like today, normally I do it, in the afternoon because everything start posting. But when they get close to 10 o'clock, I'm going to go to my account and see all the charges that transferred over the weekend. Did everything clear? If I know something didn't clear, 10 times out of 10, I will slowly pull out cash and just spend cash until Tuesday when everything clears. It's pretty much, if you have a track of knowing what you spend, you're going to be okay. And it's crazy. I used to always talk to my wife about this. A lot of people have gotten from taking it out that sheet and writing down all their transactions. You know, and sometimes if you're a person that's always getting an overdraft, that's something that you might have to go back to the old way of budgeting, of how you balance out, like you balance out your checkbook. You're gonna have to start balancing out your debit account. You have to start writing things down to make sure you won't get an overdraft, because that's always the major things with people who overdraft. It's because they spend too much out of their account and they're not keeping track. You know who loves that? Those banks. Banks love it when you do that. That's why they came from the old way of writing checks for these debit cards, and it was an easier way of doing it. But then they noticed so many people start overdrafting, so that was perfect for them. $35 here, $35 there, and they got to a point you'll hit maybe 8 overdrafts in one weekend, because everything is processed over the weekend to a degree, because they want you to spend. They're not going to process over a $10,000 payment if you had 10,000 in your account. But the point of it is they're going to just let you spend any RAM up to maybe $400 or $500, people have told me, and they're going to hit you for all those overdrafts, and they're randomly charged out. They're not charged out in the process in which you bought things. I learned that from when I got like 3 or 4 overdrafts. So you got to be careful. Got to be careful about your budget. You know, stick to a plan. Know how much money you have. Getting to the point of spending that money and having an understanding. Because, like I say, my biggest thing about this, always talking about budgeting, it's like a broken record. To a point that me getting older, I'm learning more about money. I'm trying to teach it to my kids now. I wish I had someone to teach me this instead of having a learning curve to start doing this older in my life. My aunt, she had her kids budget real good. I have family members that pretty much retired in their 50s because they saved the money. They said, well, if I need to go back to work, I can go back to work. But as it stands right now, I don't have to, so why should I? And that's a good thing for a lot of people, you know, to say, well, I want to take a couple of years, not a couple of months, a couple of years off from working and everything will be okay. You know, so if you're not there yet, as well as me, plan for that. You know, my aunt went to school for communication. She went to school for accounting and small business booking and stuff like that, and opened her own business, successful, doing pretty good. And when it came down to it, her kids learned a lot from her. You know, if I was in that household, that would be good. But the point of it is, all households are not created equal. You know, my aunt and her sister, which was my grandmother, they talked, but it wasn't on terms like, hey, the boys need to be learning this from you, just as you're showing it to your kids. So I had to get older and learn the process on budgeting and saving. And it was more or less to the point where I started spending too much money and had to figure things out, especially when I got married. More or less, it was definitely a point of I'm taking care of more people than just myself. So just have an understanding, man. Whatever you do with your money, hey, stick to a budget, stick to a plan. And with that being said, shout out to the people in the building. Like I said, go back and check out those videos that I have in the description. Also, check out that article about the Zelle. You know, it gets to it. Hopefully, the banks, do the right thing like Spike Lee. But when it comes down to it, a lot of times looking for a point of, entry when it comes to your budget, starting off all your major bills, write them down. And, that video with Ramith, he always talking about guilt-free spending. This is something that a lot of people would enjoy. Guilt-free spending is spending money without worrying about it. Just like you set aside money for savings, set aside some money for yourself. Excuse me. And I've always said this a lot. I pay myself first. I pull money aside for me, and then I start paying my bills and everything else. I keep things on a budget. If I know this bill is due this week and I got to set a little extra money aside for me and something else, I can pay that bill next week. I get paid every week. Now, for the people that get paid every 2 weeks, you're going to be on a stricter budget. You might have to pull in your account to pay this bill if it's already doing it's close to the point of shut off. I pay bills a week overdue, and I'm fine because, like I said, I budgeted in for that. I'm not going to sit there and just say, man, I pay all my bills late. I'm never on time, and I've had stuff cut off all the time. No, that's what the budget is for, to make sure you stay on track, stay on task. But like I say, with that being said, shout out to people in the building. Shout out to all the people. Hit the like button. Once again, you know what I always say. We here, and we gone. Peace.